An ordinary housewife writes in and says, "When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it's more refreshing than the cool water of a mountain stream gurgling over my bare feet. It's better than the fine breeze that wafts down from the high places and sends a tingle of energy to the very tips of my toes. It's more wonderful than a clear sky after a summer thunder shower when the sun makes every raindrop a tiny diamond. When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it feels better than the wide-eyed grin of my boyfriend, than the way his broad hand wraps around my narrow one and his muscular arm envelops my shoulders, than the feel of his powerful hands kneading the kinks out of my back, than the gentle strokes he gives my hair and the way the back of his hand just lightly brushes my shoulder. When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it's as good as my lover's tongue squirming around in my mouth. It's as fine as his soft lips running up and down my throat, his teeth nibbling on my earlobe and his tongue tickling the little hairs on the back of my neck. It's as tingly as his warm breath in my ear, as soothing as his huge body, his arms wrapped around me, warm, protective, and strong. When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it's nearly as good as his hands on my tits, first as light as feathers on the margins of ticklishness, then to the nipples, rolling them like marbles between his fingers, while I squirm and giggle like a little schoolgirl. When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it's not nearly as good as the spurt of hot semen into the back of my throat when my lover's hips jerk forward and he comes in my mouth. It doesn't even compare with his mouth around my tit, first a vacuum cleaner, then a crocodile, then a velvet magic carpet. It's not much next to his stern spanking or the funky smell of that forest of hair on his chest. It's not at all close to the strange feel of his balls in my hands or the tingle I feel when he licks my armpits. It's far from the ecstatic sensation of his lips and his tongue toying with my clitoris. When I bite into a York Peppermint Pattie, it's not even close to the sensation of that ropey cock forcing its way between my legs and burying its head in the lips of my hungry, wet cunt. There's no comparison with the explosions that radiate from my cunt to my head and send yellow lights blinking behind my closed eyes. There isn't a shred of comparison with the massive orgasm that leaves me limp in his arms, crying with uncontrollable glee. But he doesn't stop. That cock slides in and out, tickling the outside of my labia, probing the gates of my cervix, the bountiful fluids of our love stream. From the point of our junction, as he gyrates his hips, and I know I'm going to come again. Finally, he shoves two leather-gloved fingers into my asshole, and I scream with pain and ecstasy. And you compare that with a lousy piece of candy?